Welcome to this episode. The story of Buddha, venerated across the globe as a symbol of enlightenment and compassion, invites an intriguing reconsideration. Was this spiritual figure connected to Africa? The evidence, both visual and historical, paints a compelling narrative. Buddha's statues often bear distinctly African features, including coiled hair, a broad nose, full lips, and elongated earlobes, sparking debates about his possible African heritage. Scholars have speculated that Buddha might have been an African priest from Egypt or Nubia who carried the wisdom of his homeland to new lands. This hypothesis, though unconventional, aligns with the historical reality of Africa as a cradle of civilization and its profound influence on world religions and philosophies. Yet, this story also reveals a paradox. The remarkable export of African spirituality to the world contrasted with the widespread abandonment of these traditions within Africa itself, replaced by foreign religions like Islam and Christianity. This shift raises pressing questions about the spiritual trajectory of the continent and the potential for rediscovery. The statues of Buddha scattered across Asia are a testament to his enduring legacy, but their physical attributes often go unexamined. Early depictions of Buddha from Gandhara and Mathura in India show tightly curled hair resembling the natural texture of African hair. These snail-shell curls have long puzzled art historians, but when viewed through the lens of African influence, they suggest an unmistakable connection. Scholar Godfrey Higgins, in his comprehensive work, Anacalypsis, noted the African characteristics in these representations, remarking, "In all the ancient images of Buddha, we see the features of a Negro." This observation is echoed by other researchers who have pointed out the broad noses and full lips on many Buddha statues, features typically associated with Africans rather than South Asians. Further evidence comes from Buddha's elongated earlobes, a feature rich in symbolic and cultural meaning. While traditionally interpreted as a sign of his renunciation of worldly wealth, reflecting the heavy earrings he once wore, this trait also parallels African traditions of ear stretching, which signify wisdom, status, and spiritual authority in many indigenous cultures. These physical markers on Buddha statues suggest a confluence of African and Asian traditions, perhaps originating from an earlier shared spiritual heritage or direct African influence on the Buddhist world. The historical connection between Africa and Asia adds another layer to this narrative. Trade routes linking the Nile Valley to the Indian subcontinent facilitated not only the exchange of goods, but also ideas and spiritual practices. Egyptian and Nubian priests, known for their deep esoteric knowledge, were likely among the travelers who crossed the Indian Ocean, bringing with them philosophies of cosmic balance, enlightenment, and harmony. These are the very principles central to Buddhism. Dr. Ben-Jochannan, a renowned historian, argued in African Origins of Major Western Religions that ancient African civilizations were the source of many religious and philosophical systems later adopted by other cultures. He wrote, "The Nile Valley, as the center of civilization, influenced Asia through its systems of thought and spirituality long before external invaders distorted Africa's narrative." This assertion aligns with the hypothesis that African spiritual leaders may have played a pivotal role in shaping Buddhist teachings, carrying the essence of Ma'at, a concept of cosmic order and morality central to Egyptian religion, into new contexts. Despite these contributions, Africa today finds itself in a paradoxical situation. While its spiritual traditions shaped religions like Buddhism and influenced countless others, the continent has largely abandoned these practices in favor of Islam and Christianity. These religions, introduced through conquest, colonization, and missionary efforts, have often replaced indigenous African beliefs. This shift is particularly poignant given the historical context. Both Islam and Christianity were frequently tools of imperialism, used to undermine African autonomy and spirituality. The spiritual value of these imported religions, while meaningful to many, has been questioned in their African context. Christianity arrived in Africa alongside the transatlantic slave trade, with European powers using biblical justification to enslave millions. Islam, while spreading through trade and diplomacy, also participated in the subjugation of African populations. Scholar John G. Jackson, in Introduction to African Civilizations, argued, "These foreign religions brought not salvation, but servitude, replacing a proud spiritual heritage with systems of control." For many Africans, the adoption of these religions has meant a disconnection from ancestral wisdom and a dilution of cultural identity. The irony is profound. Africa, which gifted the world philosophies of enlightenment and spiritual harmony, has often turned away from its heritage. The question must be asked: what has been gained and what has been lost? Indigenous African spirituality, deeply rooted in the principles of balance, respect for nature, and community cohesion, offers a holistic worldview that modern Africa could greatly benefit from. In contrast, the adoption of foreign religions has sometimes led to sectarianism, cultural alienation, and a focus on otherworldly salvation at the expense of earthly well-being. However, this is not a call to reject foreign religions outright, even thought that might occur in the distant future, but to harmonize them with indigenous practices. Africa's spiritual legacy is not a relic of the past, but a living tradition that can inspire and guide the continent's future. The rediscovery of this heritage is already underway. Movements advocating for the revival of African spiritual systems, such as Yoruba Ifa, Akan cosmology, and the Kemetic tradition, are gaining momentum. These efforts represent not just a reclaiming of identity, but also a reassertion of Africa's role as a spiritual leader. The story of Buddha serves as a powerful metaphor for this potential revival. If the world can honor African spirituality through the lens of Buddhism, then Africans themselves can find pride and purpose in their traditions. The African features of Buddha statues and the philosophical parallels between African traditions and Buddhist teachings remind us of the profound interconnectedness of human cultures. This legacy is not just a historical footnote, but a foundation upon which Africa can build a spiritual renaissance. Ending on a hopeful note, the path forward lies in balance. Africans, at the very least, need to integrate these new beliefs with their ancestral wisdom, and at the most, embark on a concrete, modernized, fully funded revival of the Ma'at spirituality of their illustrious ancestors, rebuilding the temples. By doing so, they can create a uniquely African spirituality that honors the past while addressing the challenges of the present. The rediscovery of Africa's spiritual contributions to the world, exemplified by Buddha's story, is not merely an act of historical justice, but a call to action. In Buddha's serene face, we see not just a sage, but a reflection of Africa's enduring spirit, a spirit that, despite centuries of suppression, continues to inspire and enlighten. This spirit calls out to be rediscovered, not only to restore Africa's spiritual heritage, but to offer the world an example of harmony, wisdom, and resilience. The African roots of enlightenment, symbolized in Buddha's image, remind us that Africa's contributions to human civilization are as deep as they are transformative. As we honor this legacy, let it be a reminder that Africa's spiritual journey is far from over. With its profound heritage and boundless potential, Africa can once again rise as a beacon of light, guiding humanity toward a future of balance, wisdom, and enlightenment. Thanks for watching this episode. Do remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and look out for the next one on Africa's great civilizations.